Hello. I'm going to talk quickly about this math sprint that I programmed to help my son out with these tests. They are 100 problems, and he gets 6 minutes to perform them in. And so, just to help out with that, I programmed a bit of software to let him practice. And it's a little bit different from tests that are trying to teach him the correct answers. This test assumes that he already kind of knows how to do the addition or the subtraction, and that he can figure out the answer. This test tests speed and accuracy. That's what the purpose of the sprint is. So let me just put aside my notes really quick, and let me just show you the different ways to configure the test, and I'll demo the test. And then after I'm done with that, I'll explain in more detail how you can change what's being asked to customize it for your kid. So first, you should go to presidentgypsy.com and this URL that you see up here. And then once that loads, you will get a list of robots at the bottom, and these are what are programmed for this test. So I'm going to click on this purple front screen robot, and this is where I can change the number of questions that are being asked on the test. So right now it's asking 20. I'm going to lower that down to 10 because I don't want to sit around answering 20 questions during this demo. And then the other thing is on this green question button. If you click on that, you see that there's a make an addition problem statement, and over here there's make an addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and random. And you can put whatever you want over in here. Just make sure it's stuck between the when and the done. When result, make a multiplication problem, and done. And so that means that this will only it will be asking your child multiplication problems. If you do random, it will choose the type of problem. And I'm getting rid of the statements by dragging over to this trash can. So let me put it back on addition and then actually run through a test, and I'll explain the scoring system and how that kind of helps you figure out how your child is doing. So click to start and answer some questions. As you answer them, they disappear towards the end. If there were more, you'd be seeing them pop up again. Let's see, 23. I'm doing pretty good. So one thing is, if you enter in the wrong answer, then you hit the C to clear it out and try again. So back to 10. Alright, and what you can see here is I was awarded a medal, and this is a platinum medal. There you can get platinum, gold, silver, bronze, or an empty medal, and that tells how you did on this test. And basically, gold corresponds to A, silver is B, bronze is a C. Platinum means that you did really, really well. So there's a number on each medal that tells. So this is 138. I only answered 10 questions, but this math sprint, what it did was it timed me in answering those 10 questions, and it figured out that had I kept up that same speed for 6 minutes, I would have been able to complete 138 problems, which is pretty good because there's only 100 to answer. So what this means is I would have finished my 100 problems and then been twiddling my thumbs around. And because the test makes sure that you're actually entering the correct answer, I know that I would have been able to do 138 correctly. So I basically had to have known it. Had I gotten a gold, it would have said, for example, 95 on here, and that means that after 6 minutes I would have been able to answer only 95 questions. So that's kind of the demo of what this is. I run through there. Let me just kind of go in more detail here about how this is working. So click on this front screen robot again, and we're going to change the number of questions. And so the idea is that in building up this speed for your child in answering these these problems, you start out with a smaller number of questions, say 10, and once they're able to get golds or platinums, whatever you're satisfied with, then you can bump it up to 20 or 40 or 60, all the way up to 100, or I guess 1,000, but 100 is really all you need. And the medals should kind of give an indication of how they're going to do. As you have more problems, you have mental fatigue that goes in, so there's that issue, but they should know everything. And so if they're just practicing for answering quickly, you can keep it at a smaller number of questions, and just increase it as they get better. The nice thing about that also is there's no hourglass timer countdown. It just figures out how quickly they're answering and tells you reports back with that medal how they would have done with a full 100 question, or with a full 6 minutes. So that way there's a little bit less stress and a little bit less pressure as you start seeing that countdown, until they're getting to the platinum, in which case, countdown or not, there shouldn't be that much stress. So then the other thing then is this question robot. So I'm going to click on the green question, and I showed you how to change the types of problems that are being asked. You can also modify what kind of addition problems and pick these numbers. So I'm going to double click over here in my commands. There's this make addition problem command. I'm going to double click it, and it's picking a number between 1 and 12, 1 and 12, and I can change this to say 24 if I want to test my son's knowledge of 1 to 50. That works too. So I can control how hard it is and how difficult the questions are, and test his knowledge by picking different numbers for this first and second operand. Same thing for subtraction. For subtraction, I can also control that by double clicking, and the only trick with this is that I don't want negative or zero, the answer of 0, because the input when they're taking the test doesn't have negative numbers. It also doesn't do fractions as well. So I want to keep it at whole integer, countable numbers. But again, I can pick between 2 and 24 for that first number, 1 and whatever that first number is for that second number, and then that will figure out what the answer is. And multiplication is going to be very similar to the addition. It picks the first and the second, and you can control what numbers there. And then division as well. Division, because you can't do fractions or any decimal points when you're taking the test on screen, I'm actually picking the second number and the answer and then multiplying them to get that there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Division, and double click division, and so what it's doing here is pick a number between 1 and 10 for this, picks the number between 1 and 10 for the answer, and then multiplies them together to get this first number. And it does that to keep it round and whole. So, but you can control these numbers and to make the division problems harder or easier, whatever you want. So that is what the sprint is, and I went over in the beginning. Just drag until you get this bar. You can erase by dragging to the trash can. Keep it between this if age is 0, so when this robot's first created, then it makes up the kind of problem. And so stick that in here to control what kind of problem it is. Let me return to the playground. Number problems are with the front screen, and then the number inside the medal tells you how many problems your child would have done if they'd kept that speed for 6 minutes. And really you just want more than 100, because that means they're fluent enough to complete the test early. Alright, that is I think all that I wanted to say, so there we go.